Hello and welcome to the Pleasurepreneur podcast. This podcast will help you create what you desire in your business with pleasure. Whether that be calling in your ideal clients, making more money, or creating a balanced business life blend. I'm your host, Regan Fig, pleasure and business coach, published author of A Mother's Pleasure, wife and mama to 3 little wildlings. However you're choosing to listen to this podcast, ask yourself, how can I make this more pleasurable? And do just that. I acknowledge the custodians of the land on which this podcast is recorded and produced, the Wadi Wadi people of Dharawal land. Now, let's proceed with pleasure. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today I'm interviewing my guest, Anna Murray, who is an incredible birth support mentor. She is, in fact, what I would say the tenderly fierce birth support mentor you want to have in your corner to prepare you for the most empowered birth of your life. The work she does with women in preparing for birth is like nothing that I have ever seen before. It's not your standard birth prep or hypnobirthing, which she also is incredible at and are some of the tools she has in her tool belt. What Anna does is she works with the unique woman in front of her and helps that woman to uncover anything and everything that will stop her from having the birth she desires and alchemizes it into pure power, ready for birthing day. She helps her clients go from potential people-pleasing pawns that get pushed around on birthing day, now these are my words and not hers, to fierce, strong, self-trusting, confident women who don't need her in the birth suite because they've got themselves completely. She doesn't just help her clients have empowered births, she also helps them to become empowered women and mothers, confident in who they are and what they want. The work she does is so powerful and needed. In this episode, we explore Anna's relationship with work and pleasure. She shares her growth from a scarcity, you must work hard to make money mindset, to a place where she not only sees how she can make multiple 4-figure months in her business with ease and pleasure, but it's become her reality. She talks about the practical pieces that she put into place, as well as some of the more subtle, energetic, and mindset shifting work she's done. What Anna has created in her business and life is something that I want for every woman and is possible for every woman inside the Pleasurepreneur Mastermind. I want you to apply now via the link in the show notes and watch how you enhance not only your bank balance, but your entire life. You are going to get so much out of this episode. I had so much fun. It was so great chatting with Anna. So let's proceed with pleasure. Welcome, Anna, to the Pleasurepreneur podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here. So I wanted to have you on the podcast because not just for the fact that you and I have worked together closely for the last few months in the Pleasurepreneur Mastermind, but because of what has shifted and changed for you over these last few months. And so for anyone listening, Anna and I have worked together years and years ago, and we're very close. And so it's been so wonderful for me to see Anna completely blossom into this, I don't know even if blossom is the right word, but like almost like lean back. That's the like kind of vibe I'm getting, like watching you lean back and call in what you want, and not just like in terms of clients and money, but also in terms of like contentment. And I don't want to say surrender because it's not like you've needed to surrender, but yeah, like it seems like a sense of contentment and ease and peace. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I was just like silently giggling to myself here because I remember when I first started working with you a couple of months back in the mastermind, I remember my state. I was just like anxious and stressed and thinking, well, this is the last straw, really. There's nothing left. I may as well try this now. And how far I've come, I've just giggling. I've actually forgotten about that briefly until I hopped on this podcast today. Yeah, it's quite mind blowing. Yeah, I would totally say I feel easy about work, and I totally find I have surrendered to a different style of work and running a business and growing a business, which is very new to me.
Yeah.
After being burned out. So Yeah.
Yeah. So what did it look like? If you can take a second to like try and get yourself back into, you know, where you were a few months ago, do you remember some of those pieces? Like what would that look like in your business for you in terms of how you felt as well as how you sort of operated your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to go further back
Yeah.
years ago. So for the last 8 years, I've been a birth doula. So I help couples have their babies, have a beautiful, positive birth experience, which I just absolutely love doing. I'm a birth educator and hypnobirthing teacher, and I loved my job so much to a point where I became completely burned out, attending 30-hour births while I had 3 little kids, sleep deprived with no help. And it was trading time for money, whether that was in the births I attended or running classes. But I have no family support here. My husband has his own business and works more than full-time hours. So I felt so burned out. I actually quit my business. I put it on ice. That was about a year and a half ago. And I thought, I've had enough of this. I'm just going to go and get a job because I'm so burned out. I have to juggle that in another way. And maybe I have to sacrifice. I also homeschool. Let's add that to the pile. Homeschool 3 kids. So maybe I just can't do it all. I'm just going to go to work, which I loved. It was a really well-paid job. I absolutely loved it. I worked well for a while. And then I realized that's not in line with the life I want to live. I really love birth work. I love helping women have this mind-blowing experience. How can I have it all? Well, I can't. I can't have it all. So that was my mindset a couple of months back. I can't have it all. So I probably have to just give up. I'm going to be a stay-at-home mum and try to do bits and pieces. And it's just going to be really mad and hectic because how can I work with 3 kids at home? And then I watched you kind of seemingly be at ease. I'm pretty sure I accused you of not being honest about that and pretending you were so easy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was like, this is so good. I love challenge though. I
So
love being
good.
like, cool, like give me something to respond to. Good.
So everybody listening, I said something to Regan like, no, you're just pretending that you find pleasure in your work. You just pretend you're so chill about it all because that's not freaking possible. I'm so stressed trying to work from home with 3 homeschooled crazy boys who are noisy, nonstop, all day. And where am I going to get the next client from? This is stressful, constantly posting on social media. So I straight away jumped back into what I said I wouldn't do, try to, build a business back up again. And I thought this is just impossible. I'm going to be burnt out. So that's how I felt a few months ago, 3 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that was so funny. I loved that you were almost like tiptoeing at first, like, oh, I suspect some people, I suspect some people are saying that this can be pleasurable, but really? And I was like, yeah. So what was it that, what were some of the pieces that helped you to see like, oh, actually, maybe Regan's not full of shit. Maybe actually I could also experience pleasure in my work and in blending my home and business life together.
So first of all, what I did is I, with your help, created an offering that I could easily run from home. So that was the first step in this awakening. What a great word for it. With your help, I created an offer in my birth work that I can run from home whilst the kids are there. Yeah. So I don't have to run off to 30-hour births anymore, that are so highly valuable for my clients and myself that all of a sudden it felt possible to do that while I have 3 kids at home. So that was the first step. And then once we created that offer together, it was really about, I remember you said to me, find evidence in your week that things are easy. And if they're not easy, let's not do them. And I didn't quite want to believe it, but I trusted you as my mentor and coach. So I thought, well, okay, I don't quite believe this story yet, but I do trust Regan. So there's nothing to lose here. Let's just give it a go. And that slowly built like, oh, hang on, I just made a sale without actually posting on Instagram 10 times. Oh, okay, maybe there's evidence that it is easy. Well, maybe not because that was coincidence. But these coincidences just added up then over time. So there was no denying that it was not coincidence and that I no longer had to try so hard to constantly post on social media and constantly promote and advertise. Mm-hmm. In fact, it's the opposite. One of the evidences here is I remember months back, I was running a group class and I tried so hard, to promote, which felt really exhausting, absolutely exhausting. Whereby this round, I haven't even advertised, tried hard to spread the word about my upcoming group experience, not once, and it's fully booked with people on the wait list. There's another evidence for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. And like thinking about that exercise of finding the evidence. So for anyone who's listening, if you're also like, oh, I want to experience more pleasure, whether that's in your business or in signing clients or in your motherhood experience or just in what your day to day, start looking for it, because we have a beautiful mechanism in our brain called the reticulating active. Oh my God, the RAS. You can tell it's 7 a.m. in our brain, which actually scans, like subconsciously, we're not doing it consciously. It scans for what we believe to be true about the world. And then it presents that evidence to us to confirm with us that we are in touch with reality. Like we've got a grip on reality. And so I remember for me with, motherhood, 3 kids, 4 and under, and Anna, you were very similar with having 3 kids so close together. It was so easy. I lived interstate. It was so easy for me to not have friends and family around and just decide that I was completely unsupported, and it felt really hard. But the more I focused on that, I knew the more that I actually will find evidence of that, and the more that then that becomes that confirmation bias. And so for those of you who are like, oh, I would like to experience more pleasure or ease or joy or whatever like that pleasure element is for you, start looking for that. The more you are looking for that, the more you're going to find it, and the more you're then going to call that into you, the more that then confirms, oh, actually, I can experience that pleasure. So I love that you brought that to the conversation, Anna. So good. And I think too, sorry, were you going to say something there?
Oh, no, I just thought of something really important that I want to add that you also
Yeah.
helped me realize in the mastermind. Things don't have to be perfect. Yeah, I'm a mother of 3. People who follow me, they know I have a lot of children. And I created my business now running online birth mentorships from home while my kids are at home. My environment doesn't have to be perfect. So in the past, I would have said, oh, no, that's not possible. I can't coach clients from home while I have 3 crazy boys skating outside. And I'm pretty sure you said something like, why not? Yeah, why not? Why can I not do that? People love me for who I am. Now I coach my clients from home with still no help, still no family here to look after the kids. And yeah, often the kids do come in and I have a little chat to them and then they go out again. So, if you are listening and you're thinking, well, that's easy for you to say, but I can't do that. Yeah, absolutely you can, because it doesn't have to be this perfect sterile recording studio. I mean, Regan and I are recording this here early in the morning. No doubt at some point kids will come running in, and that's okay. That's part of who we are. We're mothers, and you likely are maybe a mum too, or so yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah, exactly right. And when you were talking about the first step was to really create a program or an offering that felt easy, that's part of it as well, because if you're creating an offering whereby you have to, or even creating anything, if you're trying to take action or achieve something, and part of that needs to be done in a way that doesn't feel easeful, that doesn't bring you pleasure, you've already got so much resistance there to begin with. So, for example, like you just giving yourself the permission or letting yourself have clients and knowing that there might be times when your kids come in and that's okay, like that then means like, oh, okay, like that kind of feels easy. That feels more like doable. Whereas if it was like, okay, I need to make sure my children don't make any noise, don't come in, like that goes against your top values. You have your kids, you homeschool your kids for a reason, you know? And so if you're trying to create something that goes against what your top values are, that is out of alignment with you, that isn't easeful and doesn't bring you pleasure, there is going to be so much resistance to that. And so therefore, like in business, if you've got an offer that you've got resistance to doing, you're going to then have resistance to selling, because you're not going to want to sell something that you don't want to do. Yeah.
Totally. Yes, agree with that. And if I'm worried about, for example, here, kids running on during my coaching sessions, then I'm already in this fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
Does that bring me pleasure? No. And then I resent my work. Whereby now I'm actually so excited about my coaching sessions. It's literally the highlight of my week. And that's for another reason, which I also learned in the mastermind, to only now work with my ideal dream clients. I no longer work with clients who drain my energy, where I think, oh God, no, how am I going to do this today? 3 kids are crazy and feral and sick today. Now I have to talk to this person I don't really want to talk to. I don't work with people like this at all. I work with my dream clients and I'm literally beyond excited every time I get to talk to them, which is just such a huge part of, running a business that brings you pleasure.
Yes. Yes, exactly right. And when you're doing things that feel like that light you up, like even just as you're talking, Anna, your face is like lighting up, you're glowing. When you are doing the things that bring you pleasure, that light you up, that fulfill you, that have you energized, that actually takes a lot less fuel, like a lot less capacity than having to do the things that don't feel like that. So, of course, there is a difference. Whilst you might think, oh, well, I have an hour, say on whatever day it might be, to see a client, that hour is not the same based on how it makes you feel. So yes, it's the same hour. Yes, it's the same, it's the same, you're doing the same thing, right? You're coaching a client, you're working with someone you're mentoring. So it's still, you're doing the same kind of thing, but it's a completely different experience and it affects your energy completely differently. So there is such a difference between 1 hour with a client who isn't your ideal client, who's probably somebody else's ideal client, who would probably light somebody else up, but isn't the right client for you, versus a client who you just cannot wait to jump on a call with and to support and guide and help. And it's such a difference. And so therefore, whilst it's like, it's not as though you are managing your time any better, like we do not. And I think sometimes, I wonder if sometimes people think, when I talk about having more pleasure and more time and more energy, that we're doing a lot of like time management. And that's not the case at all. Like every single person who I've worked with, probably everyone listening to this podcast, you are all intelligent women. It is not about time management. It's about these subtle tweaks that enable you to have more time and energy and presence outside of your business because you are aligning with the pleasurepreneur approach of just ensuring what you're doing does bring you pleasure.
Yeah, I love this. And I feel like also in line with that, what you just said, how I show up on social media now, for example. In the past, it would have been, I don't know, let's say 10 stories a day because, work is hard. I have to get it out there. Oh my God. What about now? I mean, to be honest, there are days where I just don't post. It's just how it is because I don't have to hustle. I don't have to. It's like a consistent effort, not every day. But I mean, often I might show up 2 or 3 times, but it's bang to the point, and what I have to say gets out there, and that's it. I don't have to fluff around over 10 stories anymore, which drains me. I mean, who wants to do that? If you do it, if you enjoy it, go for it. I don't enjoy it. I don't have the time for it because I'm definitely not that organized or have great time management skills. So I'm just banging it out what I have to say because I know my clients, they get so much out of those 2 or 3 posts. That's all we need.
Yeah.
And that's all I need in my business because I've said it.
Yes. Well, and that's smart too, because whether it is, speaking to your audience, your ideal clients, or creating an offering for them, you don't want to have it stretched out any longer than what it needs to be. If you want to achieve a goal, whether that is to have the most incredible birth experience of your life or to make multiple 4 figures in your business, like you want to do it in the shortest amount of time possible, And so that's the same for like being on your stories. It's so much more efficient and better for your audience. It's a better service to them if you can cover what it is that you want to, perhaps the value you want to give them or the awareness that you want to give them or whatever it is you're offering via your stories or your content. If they can receive that in 2 or 3 slides versus 10, you're saving everyone's time, energy. Like that's a much more efficient way of doing things.
Totally, yes.
Yeah. So Anna, you were talking about your offering and how, obviously as being a birth worker and a birth educator, you would normally, as a doula, be at really long births, having to be in real life, having to be on call, having to last minute set aside, having to last minute try and work out childcare and all those kind of things. So for those people who are thinking like, oh, well, I'm a birth worker, I'm a doula, or, in the realm or industry where you think you need to be doing something in real life, can you share like what you have changed your business model to look like so that you don't need to do in real life in-person work and you can actually help your clients in a much more, even I want to say like a more deeply supportive way that works with you?
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. I'd love to share that. So there were two reasons why I had to change what I was doing. I was doing about 10 births a year. You can imagine some of them might only be, 5 hours, others 40 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that's like. So I was burned out. But I also thought this is not what my client needs, because women have previously hired me to have this mind-blowing birth experience. I need Anna there. And I remember years ago, that was like probably 4 years ago, someone said to me straight after her beautiful birth, she was glowing baby in her hand. She was so happy. Oh my God, I get goosebumps. And she said, oh, that was all because of you, because you were here. Thank you forever so much. You would think I would have been so, excited and stoked about that feedback. I was actually, oh God, I felt sick actually, because I thought, oh, you're placing your experience into my hands. You take credit for it, woman. This was not my making. You did this. This is your work, lady. I'm so proud of you. This has nothing to do with me. So I was thinking, me just attending 40-hour births doesn't actually serve women, because A, it burns me out, and B, they then think it's because of me they had a beautiful birth experience. So fast forward to a couple of months ago, I thought, what is it that women really need so that they have like a mind-blowing, empowering birth experience? And what it is, they need to find the confidence within themselves so that they, after their beautiful birth, feel like, oh my God, I did this. Look at me. I said no to all of this. I could do it. I didn't doubt myself. I didn't want to please everyone. As soon as the doctor came in and said, oh, you need this. We need to speed this up. But I did it all. Look at me, with the guidance of, in my case, Anna. Mm-hmm. So then I looked at those two challenges that I had, my time and not being able to attend all of these births anymore, plus what is it that my client or any woman really needs, and I merged them together. So what I do now is I support women in a 3 or 6 month mentorship to go deeply within, do the shadow work, identify what it is that no longer serves them, and that what it actually is that it is holding them back from having a beautiful birth. Because usually it's simply not, I'm scared of interventions. I'm worried about having an epidural. I'm worried about tearing. That is not what holds us back. It's going back, steps back, figuring out where are those fears actually coming from. And it's usually from our childhood, the shadows that we don't want others to see. So I help women now in my mentorship to work with those shadows, react to situations in different ways, so that they can just look within rather than at the first sign of, you need an intervention, you need to be induced, jump and say yes. Because when you feel deeply confident within yourself, you don't need to do that. You just know what it is that you need. And I mentor them through, and depends on the client. At times for client, I'm available to answer questions during the birth. They can message me or call me as well. But I no longer, except for special repeat clients, attend in-person births at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I can imagine, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I can imagine that the work you do with women leading up to their birth, chances are when it comes to them being in their birth, they're not looking for you.
You are so spot on. Because
Is that
the first couple of clients I supported, I was like, are they going to call me nonstop? Because they said, feel free to ask me questions in birth. But they didn't, because they didn't need to. They were no longer looking for, oh, when is my doula arriving? Oh, I really want to feel safe. When is she arriving? They no longer needed to do that, because they knew within themselves, I feel safe, I'm okay. I will also work with their partners, so their partners know what to do, during labor. So they just felt complete within themselves and didn't need to look for external validation through me or anybody else.
Oh my gosh. That's when you know your work. You've done your job,
Oh my God, that's when I just know. And I look back now and I thought, it's all a learning journey, but I'm like, if only, I could have started that so much sooner. It's just so mind blowing.
Well, and do you think that part of what got you there to create this kind of offering and realize actually this is the work? To me, because I remember some of the conversations that we had, what stands out for me is the awareness, bringing into your awareness that what brings you pleasure, what is in alignment for you, actually benefits other people.
100%. Yes. And, going to a 40-hour birth, that does not bring me pleasure. It might bring others pleasure, but for me, it doesn't, because then I'm stressing about what my kids are doing and how bloody tired I am. So 100%, what brings me pleasure benefits my clients so much.
Yeah. And I think we, especially as women, have been conditioned to believe that, first of all, our desires and what brings us pleasure needs to come last. And also that it's selfish, that it's just for us. And so if we don't question that conditioning, if we don't question that narrative, well, then of course, we're not going to want to prioritize what brings us pleasure and do what it is that we desire, because we assume, we don't even question, we just assume that it's not going to benefit other people, that it's selfish, that other people will be let down, disappointed, it's not what they want. And the more that I have allowed myself to prioritize my pleasure, to let my desire drive me and be the lead cause of my choices, the more I see how that benefits my family, how it benefits my clients, how it benefits my community. Because when we are of service, when we're doing what brings us pleasure, that fuels us, that gives us energy. It feels yummy. It keeps us in alignment. It means that we're honoring ourselves. And just simply doing that alone allows us to be of service to the world, whether that's directly or indirectly. And so I'm not saying you must do what brings you pleasure in order to fill your cup so you can give to others. I'm saying that is a beautiful byproduct of prioritizing our pleasure. And when we allow ourselves to just perhaps question or play with the idea of I wonder if I started prioritizing what brings me pleasure, I wonder if I started letting myself make choices based on what I want, I wonder how that's going to benefit other people. And so that would be something I would invite any listener to play with. Number one, just get curious about that. Start to think so I know for me, when I'm doing the work that lights me up, I'm a happier mum. That benefits my kids. I'm less stressed, so I'm not snapping at them over dumb shit. And that's just immediately some guesses of what I think would happen. And so then go and take it out into the field, play with that, okay, so if I do what lights me up, then let me see the actual evidence. What is the actual real world consequence of that? And through the lens of how is this benefiting the people I love? How is this benefiting my community, my world, the ripple effect. And you'll start to, again, collect that evidence that when I prioritize what brings me pleasure, when I do what I want, that benefits everyone and it's not selfish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I love how you've started to see now, this is actually even more beneficial for my clients. And actually, I wish I knew this beforehand. But when we allow ourselves to do the things that we want, when we allow ourselves to do what we enjoy, it's only then that we get to see the positive consequence of that. What else has been some positive consequences of you allowing yourself to do what you want in your business, of you allowing yourself to do what brings you pleasure in your business?
I think because I've now set up my business in a way that brings me pleasure, then all of a sudden earning money feels really easy. So when I first started working with you, I feel like I had a lot of money mindset blockages there, that it's hard. And that's our society, I think, it comes probably from generations before us, like earning money is hard. So that was probably the hardest bit for me in working with you, figuring out how to overcome that. Because in the past, in my business over the late years, it was always the harder you work, the more money you make. And there was the evidence, and you can find that evidence if that's what you want to look for. But I no longer want to look that, because I want to focus on my kids and how to earn income. So this has been just such an amazing, it's not a byproduct, because for me, that's like such a big thing out of finding pleasure in my work, that I learned to make money with pleasure. And it feels easy to make money rather than counting the pennies and waiting for where's this next sale going to come from. And if that feels hard, then earning money feels hard, which is like the spiral that we're in. Whereby now I actually don't think like that anymore. I just know I have the evidence here. If I show up the way I do, and I know my clients, benefit so much from it. So if Susie benefits so much from it, why would not Sally come to me as well? And Karina, and they're all going to come to me because they're all going to benefit so much from working with me. So therefore the money is going to come to me. This has been just, I think the greatest lesson in this for me, that it doesn't have to be hard to earn money.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, I sound so like Byron Bay Woody Woo, which, I think I am. I'm not. I've always in the past hated when people said to me, money will come to you. This is not what I'm talking about. Sitting here on the couch eating donuts with jam does not mean money is going to come to me. I'm not talking about that blah-de-da. I'm talking about if I stop having these these beliefs, like it's so hard to earn money. If I stop doing that, then there is an easier way to earn money with pleasure, which is so much more fun.
Yeah. This is like the thread of this conversation, isn't it? Like when we just let ourselves be curious about is there a different way? Can I start to see that and therefore start to create it? It opens up everything for us. And so what we want, what we focus on, we find the evidence of. And so what do you want to find the evidence of? You want to find the evidence that it's easy to make money? Well, then focus on that. Focus on how it can be easy. Ask those questions, easily, see what works for you. Make your offerings easier, make your schedule easier,
Yeah.
And so when you came, because obviously that's quite a mindset challenge like that, like a narrative, a conditioning that you've had your entire life of it's hard to make money and you have to work hard to make more money. You have to work harder to make more money. What did you face? Because obviously when we've had these kind of conditionings, whether it's that narrative or something else, we can really grip to that narrative or those kind of conditionings and beliefs. What did you feel like you needed to overcome, or what did you feel like you had to, was there a feeling or something that you needed to find? What did you have to move through in order to let yourself trust the process to see how easy it could be?
So I feel like for my upbringing, I have personally a lot of limiting beliefs around money. So that's just how my family rolled. There was always more than enough money, but there was always talk about, there isn't enough. You need to watch every cent. Therefore, as a result, we have enough money because we're watching every penny. So that I had that mindset belief, which I had to overcome, which was really hard. What really helped me is when I started working with you, rather than you, bombarding me with positive mindset, money talk, you just asked me questions. And those prompts really pissed me off. Remember those sessions where I was really pissed off? When Voxer, I'm like, "Ah, there she goes again. I'm pissed off." And the reason for that was because you hit the nail. You didn't say, "Hey, Anna, we can change how you feel about money. Let's do this and that." You didn't say any of that. You just prompted me with questions that hit the nail and obviously made me feel really uncomfortable and therefore pissed off, because when we feel uncomfortable with something, that usually means, aha, we found something here. And I do the same when I work with my clients in birth now. Yeah. So it's a good thing. So that really opened my eyes, like from moving through that feeling of resentment, not wanting to talk to you about that, not wanting to deal with your questions around that. And it was as simple as, could there be another way? Could there be evidence? Could we look at Kim Kardashian, how much money she has? Could we look at the YouTube guy who makes money while he sleeps and lets people wake him up, and he made $15,000 in 7 hours? Little things like that pissed me off so much. But it was just so necessary to move through that. And I could have shut down and just said, "Off, Regan, go away. I don't want to deal with this." But I allowed myself to move through that feeling of being really uncomfortable and finding more evidence that can be easy to earn money.
Mm. Yeah, this is a courageous path, which maybe it sounds a little bit over the top, but I think it is so courageous to allow yourself to, number one, honor what it is you desire and do what brings you pleasure. And knowing that it goes against the grain of our culture, and knowing that it goes against the grain of how we've been conditioned and probably a lot of our beliefs. But letting yourself be courageous enough to be curious and see what happens. And I think every pleasurepreneur who is like, and this was my story too, maybe I don't know how, but I believe it's possible to make money in a way that feels good for me, that's good for the world, that's good for everybody else, in order to get rich, and not just in terms of money rich, but get rich in terms of money as well as enjoyment and pleasure and rest and peace, and connection and time and energy with our family. It takes courage and a badass to be a pleasurepreneur, which is what you are.
It absolutely does. And it's so easy to think of everybody else. But Sally from next door is working so hard as a single mom. Oh God, to somehow feed her 8 children. It's always easy to jump to everybody else and use everybody else as an excuse why it should be hard for you. And if that's the evidence you're looking for, that's the evidence that becomes your reality. So I found that so hugely helpful, just to move through that and just focus on myself, not everyone else in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think part of the discomfort is that it's simple. When things are easeful and simple, oftentimes our brain will be like, well, where's the problem? There's got to be a problem here. And so it might be that, I'm going to have to post more, or I'm going to have to do all this extra stuff because we think it shouldn't be that easy.
I'm laughing again, just thinking of the multiple times when Voxa in our coaching group chat, you said to me, "So is that a problem, Anna?" I'm like, "Oh God, go away."
What were we talking about? I've signed people and I've done nothing.
Exactly that. Or the other thing, and that's probably I love that in our mastermind so much, I haven't made a sale in 3 weeks. Oh God, probably I don't know what's wrong. Why is no one buying from me? Which is just a normal, cycle when you're a business owner. You don't get paid every Friday at 3 p.m. There's nothing for 3 weeks. That's just the running a business. But then just your comments here, is that a problem, Anna? Because my brain wanted to jump straight to, okay, right, got to post more. I need to change strategy. Maybe I think of a new service. And then your calm way of just saying, is there a problem with this, Anna? It's so brilliant. Love that.
Good. I'm glad. I'm really glad. Yeah. All right. So it sounds like our work here is done. 5 months in the mastermind and things have shifted for you dramatically, not just in terms of your, the way you make income, but also how you feel, how you are structuring your life and your days, how you feel about your work. So what do you think would be your favorite result that you created from being in the mastermind?
Oh, I love that question so much. You would think I'm going to jump to the money side because I remember signing up to the mastermind back then. I remember reading something in one of your posts saying you were making multiple 4-figure months. I'm like, yeah, right. How am I going to do that with ease and pleasure and 3 crazy kids at home? That's not possible. So you would think I jump straight to I've done that, which is like a major achievement, but it's actually not. My biggest celebration here that I got out of this is actually that I find pleasure in my work. For me, that's more important than any money I've earned or anything else, that it's no longer hard, that it's no longer stressful and giving me anxiety to get ready for a class. Oh my God, the kids have to be quiet. It just feels easy and I do it with pleasure and with ease. That's the biggest outcome for me.
Yeah. Oh, that gives me goosebumps. Like that's what I want for every single person, you know? And
Yeah.
so I'm going to guess, how has that I'm going to guess that that's then flowed into the rest of your life, like not just your business. I'm going to guess that that's flowed into your family life, into your personal life, has it?
100% it's flowed into everything else because looking back, like I've obviously had my own business for 8 years. My husband has had his own business for 20 years. I almost feel like in the past, there was always this competition between my husband and myself over me earning money and the business. Because in the past, me going to work to a 40-hour birth required him to take time off, which then ended up in resentment, a feeling of guilt from my side, me needing to be dependent on his availability so I could please go and earn some money. That's all dissolved because I no longer need that. So it had a flow-on effect into my relationship. And I guess also into how my kids see mum earn money. She no longer runs off I remember at one birth, I came back and one of my sons said, "Oh, we thought we would never see you again. You've been gone for that long." All of that is gone because they know mummy locks herself into the room and that means she's working and that's okay. We play outside. So it had a huge role and effect into how my kids perceive that mum earns money.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you are modeling a completely different way and a completely different belief system for your kids now.
Yes, absolutely. I remember once I sent an invoice to a client for coaching and my middle son saw it and he's like, "What? This is what you charge?" I'm like, which was like a nice, multiple 4-figure number. And he's like, "Wow." Like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So good.
such pride and accomplishment in that. And also too, such a sense of, pride knowing that you can support your family financially.
Yeah.
And I think there's a pleasure piece in that too, because if you are resistant to pleasure, if you have a difficult time receiving pleasure because you feel like you really need to earn it or it's not for you or everyone else needs to come first, there is an element of pleasure in achieving our desires. There is always if not multiple elements of pleasure in creating what it is we want in our businesses and our lives. And so if we are not able to receive pleasure, if we're resistant to it, if we want to ignore it, if we don't think it's available to us, then that actually means we're resistant and avoidant to achieving our goals, And so I think just what really has highlighted that point here is that, in letting yourself experience pleasure in what you do, in your work, in what you offer, in who you work with, that's actually enhance that connection with your body, enhance that connection with pleasure. It's reinforced that you are allowed to and you are safe to experience pleasure. And so therefore, when it comes to what it is that you want to achieve in your business, what it is that you want to achieve, in your life, because there's those elements of pleasure within that, whether it is pride or a sense of accomplishment or just like the excitement of being able to be generous with your money, those pleasure pieces, you are more open to those happening. You're not trying to resist them or like subconsciously avoid them. It opens the pathway. It makes it flow easier. It makes it get to you sooner,
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So talk mastermind, because obviously I'm launching the mastermind. Is there something that you think is really important to mention that we haven't already about the mastermind?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I was just thinking of that maybe some of your listeners are thinking now, well, this is easy for you to talk about. You have your amazing product that brings you so much pleasure. I've got no freaking idea what I want to do or what my skills are, because no, that was not me in a way. I've known, for 8-9 years that I'm so passionate about helping women have a ecstatic birth experience, but I didn't know how to change my offering so it worked for me and benefited my clients. So I love that in the mastermind, right at the beginning, we figured out together what my offering would look like, because I just didn't know. I knew what I kind of didn't want anymore, but I didn't know how to go about that. And with your help, I created this incredible offer that, I'm so passionate about and I find so much pleasure in. So if you're listening now and maybe, you just started your business recently or you want to structure it in a different way so it brings you more pleasure, you don't have to have the answer to that already, because you're going to do that in the mastermind. Because I don't want anyone to think, but I'm not there yet, so therefore I can't find pleasure. That I love that so much about in our time together, that I created my offering that now brings me pleasure. I didn't already have that when I joined.
Yeah. And you can probably say the same thing too with, finding out who your ideal client is as well. Like that's something that we really hone in on at the start. So then we're utilizing the next 5 months to, get our messaging out to that ideal client and then call in those ideal clients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember right at the beginning when I was just trying, how do I speak to my ideal client? I don't even know. And I remember you and I were going back and forth. I'm like, maybe I should say this instead. And then I had enough. I'm like, that's it. Fuck it. I had enough. No more. I'm so sick of it. That's when it clicked. All of a sudden, I'm like, I don't need to try so hard to go back and forth. I know now what I want to say. And therefore, I no longer need to think about it all day, what I'm going to put in my social media stuff. It just comes out straight to the point in 2 messages. So yeah, I really, really love that so much as well in our mastermind, that I now know without even blinking twice, know how to communicate to my ideal client. So when she reads it, she's like, yep. Oh yeah, I'm ready. And now as a result, this is like such a major achievement. I had a, whatever you want to call it, a discovery call, if you want to call that, the other day with a new client. And it was literally over and done with in 20 minutes. So what is a discovery call is where you can both figure out if you want to work together. You would think that's where you're trying to sell it hard to your ideal client. There was none of that, because by the time my ideal client jumped on that discovery call, she already knew, yeah, I want to work with you. Where do I sign up? I want to sign up with you today. And I didn't know how to do that prior to my mentorship with you.
Oh, that's so yummy.
Mm.
So yummy. Yeah. And for anyone who's listening, I'm going to put your Instagram link in the show notes. They have to go and check you out and catch some of that incredible, I don't even want to call it content, because it's not content. It's like you speaking truth. Like it's just so clear and powerful. And it's because you know who your ideal client is. You know exactly the results that you can help them create. And so it's just like, it doesn't, tell me if I'm wrong, but it doesn't look like you're selling. It probably doesn't feel like you're selling, because it's not that kind of old school traditional marketing and needing to convince. It's literally a communication of like who this person is and the result you can help them create.
Yes, 100%. And it's almost the opposite, like, of selling, because come and follow me on Instagram and you will see I often even say stuff like, hey, this is not for you. If you want to have this and that, you just want to say yes to the doctors every time they want to give you an intervention. This is definitely not for you if that's you. It's always the opposite of selling that I'm doing. I'm telling people to go away because it is not for everybody to work with me. But when you're ready to work with me, you've got to get the most insane outcome. So I agree with you. There's no content where I'm selling. It's just me sharing me and the truth that I know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so much power in that. And so much energy that is kept for you then, not trying to I don't know if I've said it this round in the mastermind, but often I've said to clients before, let's stop being such a try hard,
Yeah.
Like
it's exhausting to be trying hard.
I know when you feel like you're trying hard, like that's when you know you're out of alignment. So good. All right, my love, any last words that you have to share? Anything that we haven't spoken about that you want to bring into the conversation before we wrap up?
Yeah, I'm going to say 2 last things to your listeners. So if you are thinking about doing the mastermind and you're like, ooh, I'm on the fence, I'm not sure, I'm a bit scared. Yeah, that's a great sign. That's what you need. Just do it, jump in it, and, magic will happen. The other thing is I want to highlight, when things turned around for me in the mastermind, I'm pretty sure I was not giving up my business or giving up mastermind. But I remember I went through a phase, maybe 2 months in or something, where I'm like, this is it. I've had enough. Now this is all too hard. Fuck it, no more. That was the breaking point. And then 2 days later, I jumped back in. I'm like, okay, this has all been a necessary part of my journey, these ups and downs, sitting with those feelings of being really uncomfortable. And now I'm here and I'm nailing it. And now I'm on the other side. This is Anna take 2. I'm here. So, when you do go through the mastermind and you go through the waves, they're so healthy, those waves. And on the other side of the down wave, there's the up, and stay with it. It's so worth it.
Oh, that is so gold, such gold. And it just reflects whilst I talk about doing things that bring you pleasure, it doesn't mean that the process is pleasurable 100% of the time. But we
have to go through that feeling of, being uncomfortable maybe at times, feeling out of depth, feeling like, oh, I can't do it, to get to the other side, to get to pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Was there a second thing?
It's just,
you said there were 2 things.
Everybody has to do it. I don't even remember what I was saying, but everyone has to do it. Like, I wish I had done it so much sooner. It was just the best thing. Yeah, the best thing. And I'm just thinking already ahead of today, in the what's coming for me now today after this, I'm going to go for a surf. Whereby in the past I would have felt guilty. Oh, I should be working. Oh my God, I should get more content out. It's Friday. Let's smash it out. No, I'm going to go for a surf now. I'm going to have so much fun and pleasure. And then I'm going to jump on a call with a client. And to be honest, that's it for today. And I'm okay with that. So yeah, I'm already in my dreamy pleasure phase for the rest of today.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. Like Pleasurepreneur Friday, Pleasurepreneur Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day.
Oh yeah, that's the new slogan. I like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Now, where can people find you? Because they need you in their life.
Yeah.
Whether they're having a baby or not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, whether you're having a baby or not, this coaching is like life-changing. It will benefit you for life. So on Instagram, you go to It's Anna Murray. We're going to tag that in the show notes as well. Mm-hmm. Come and say hi. And I can't wait to get to know you and chat to you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, my love. This has been great. I love getting to chat with you. Thank you for all of those golden gems of wisdom and experiences that you've shared. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so amazing.
That wraps up today's episode. But before I sign off, I want to let you know that doors to the next round of the Pleasurepreneur Mastermind are now open. You're listening to this podcast because you know you can have both, the income and the pleasure-filled life you desire, and the mastermind is where that becomes a reality for you. If you've decided 2025 is your year to create multiple 4-figure months in your business, whilst being able to enjoy your life, like savoring slow mornings, snuggling your babes in bed, spending quality time with your family, or doing things that you enjoy outside of your business as well as in, you're going to love and totally transform yourself and your business inside the mastermind. It's my 5-month group coaching experience where we apply the key Pleasurepreneur principles and strategies that actually move the needle to create multiple 4-figure months so that you save your time, your energy, and your presence for where it counts. The mastermind is where you learn how to grow your income, sign more clients, help more people, and create a life that feels outrageously delicious and pleasure-filled for you. It's also the place where you're celebrated, supported, and witnessed by an intimate group of women who get it. You can apply right away by clicking the link in the show notes, or if you're curious and you want to learn more, send me a DM on Instagram and let's have a chat. You can also head to reganfig.com/mastermind or click the link in the show notes. But then I don't get to hear all about you and your business goals and desires for next year, which would be a bummer for me. But you follow what you desire. And if you have any questions, of course, send them my way. We don't begin officially until February, but the sooner you join, the more bonuses you'll get, such as coaching with me this side of the new year. Because it's an intimate group with only a maximum of 8 women inside, be sure to make yourself known to me sooner rather than later as spaces are limited. All right, that's it from me. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye for now.